Yo, what is going on, guys? Hey, this is Ugly Face Gaming here, and welcome to a very different kind of video because I've been meaning to do a video like this for quite some time, but I didn't know when exactly I would actually have like the guts to actually step up and make a video like this. That's very different from what I usually do because within this video, I am going to be ranking every single arc within Dragon Ball Super from worst to best. But here's the catch: it wasn't me ranking it because honestly, that's kind of boring for someone like myself. Just to say which one's the worst and which one's the best. I actually had my followers on my art Instagram rank them in their own opinion from worst to best. So if you guys would actually like to participate in future videos like this where we rank things from worst to best in terms of my art followers, make sure to click the link in the description below that takes you to my actual art account, and make sure to hit that follow as well as participate because this one was actually pretty fun and kind of like really interesting to see what you guys were going to vote for your like the best one that you think. And the numbers kind of varied. I didn't write down the numbers or the percentages for the sagas, I just have them from worst to best. But let's just get straight into this. And before I actually do start, I do want to shout out Degra again because within his latest One Punch Man review, he actually shouted me out. So, I mean, I don't really want to just keep going back and forth, but he's just a really, really cool guy. I really do love his content. So, Degra, thank you so much for shouting me out. Hopefully, we both could grow. Hopefully, we both could meet each other one day. Like, it'd be really, really cool because as of right now, you're like one of my greatest friends in terms of YouTube. So, thank you so much for the shout out. Obviously, hopefully, we both grow into bigger things that we could like one day meet up and like play video games together and stuff like that. But, obviously, shout out to you again for the shout out that you did on your channel, and let's get straight into this video now. We are going to be starting with it's kind of weird because within all of this, I didn't want to just include the arcs that we already knew and love. I actually put the Broly movie as an arc because I feel like we are going to get like a Broly adaptation in terms of an arc later on. And I just want to include it because it was part of Dragon Ball Super. So I included that one, the movie, as an arc. And I also included the newly introduced Moro arc because obviously a lot of people are hyping up the Moro arc. A lot of people seem to like it. So I was like, hey, even though it's not finished, let me actually put it in this list. But coming down to our worst arc, a lot of people, I honestly thought this was going to be really, really high, but it is the Moro arc. Now, I don't know why people voted the Moro arc to be the worst arc in terms of Dragon Ball Super. I thought it was going to be really, really high, especially since it had a lot of hype towards it. In my opinion, I would have ranked it a little bit higher because I don't see it as that bad. Like, Moro is a really, really cool villain. His motives are really, really cool, as well as the cliffhangers that we've been getting, like his second wish. We don't know what his second wish is. We don't know how strong he actually is or how the actual overall arc is going to end. So in my opinion, I find it kind of weird how people actually rank this the lowest, probably because people either don't know that it's an arc that's continuing after the Broly, or people just don't really care about all of this magic stuff that's happening. But coming in at the last place, we have the Moro arc. So this might be a huge discrepancy. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys are going to be hating on the people who voted this to be the worst one. I'm pretty sure the Moro arc is pretty high for all of you guys, but obviously let us move on to the next one. Now, this next one, I personally would have ranked it as my least favorite arc, and that would be the Resurrection F arc. The reason why I didn't like the Resurrection F arc, in my opinion, was basically because of the art and animation. This is kind of where the art and animation in terms of Dragon Ball Super kind of declined. So it's, for me, it's happy to see that people actually voted second to last. I kind of wish it would have been last. Like, if it was me ranking this, I would have put it dead last. But to see people actually rank it as, what is this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, to see people rank it as 6 out of 7, that's pretty good because honestly, in my opinion, not a lot of people like the Resurrection F as the movie. Not a lot of people like the arc, especially because, like I stated, the art and animation, as well as all the caveats that they're adding in terms of the Resurrection F arc, was in my opinion not that bad. So I was kind of glad that I didn't actually have to wait for new episodes in terms of the Resurrection F. And even like when it came to like the Blu-ray, I'm pretty sure people actually noticed a huge animation kind of like gap because within the Blu-ray they actually buffed up the animation so it actually looks decent. But if you actually were the people who were watching it when it first came out, you guys would notice that it was really, really bad. And obviously, coming in at number 5, we have Battle of Gods. I mean, I'm pretty sure the reason why Resurrection F as well as Battle of Gods did so low was because that they were basically just anime adaptations of the actual movies that came out. So obviously, the ones that we have already seen before turned into an anime, people are not going to care too much because people already know what's going to happen as well as what's going to happen at the end. And obviously, the expectations from movie to anime don't really match up. The movies are always going to be so much better, which is why I hope when they actually do a Broly adaptation, if they do it, it actually turns out to be better than the actual movie. Well, I doubt it's gonna be better than the actual movie because the movie in and of itself was really, really good. But hopefully, if they do a Broly adaptation, they don't do it as bad as they did with the Resurrection F or Battle of God. So I kind of see why people put those towards the end. You know, obviously 6 and 7 to plays. That's really, really low in terms of this list, but I mean, I guess like in my opinion, I kind of see why they actually put Battle of Gods there because it wasn't as good as the movie, and obviously a lot of people were turned off with Dragon Ball Super because how it actually started, like those first couple of episodes with Goku farming and stuff. People are like, eh. So I could see why people put it as number 5, but coming into number 4, and this one was one that was really shocking because this one was borderline with Battle of Gods. This is Universe 6 versus Universe 7, and I don't know why it actually put like this low. I mean, I could kind of see why, but Universe 6 versus Universe 7, honestly, in my opinion, wasn't that good of an arc, which is why I could see why it did so low and not higher than the other ones, but it deserves to be a little bit higher, but at the same time, like I stated, I see why it's that low because the Universe 6 versus Universe 7 tournament really didn't mean much. It was basically just Vegeta just whooping everyone's butt around. Like, it was literally just Vegeta versus Universe 6 at that point. Vegeta actually limited everyone within the actual tournament. The only reason why people like this arc was because of the Hit fight, because Hit was such an interesting character. I remember when it came to the Universe 6 versus Universe 7 arc, the only person I really wanted to see fight was Hit, and obviously Hit's whole fight only lasted like one episode with Vegeta and then like 2 or 3 with Goku. Like, it was really, really short what people actually wanted. So the fact that it actually got where it is, I could see why. It's kind of middle ground. You don't necessarily like it, but you don't dislike it. And this was one of the newer arcs that was like fresh off. We didn't have a movie based on this or like a manga adaptation. It was like it's full on a new thing. So that's what made it actually more interesting. And I'm honestly happy with the placement that it actually like managed to get on this list. And the third one, which I thought this was going to be number 1. I honestly thought this was going to be number 1, but it's the Broly arc. Now, obviously, it's not necessarily an arc. It was basically just the movie, but I still wanted to include it, like I mentioned, because it is part of Dragon Ball Super, and might as well include everything when you're ranking Dragon Ball Super, right? So I just put the Broly in there because, honestly, it was something fresh. It had a lot of nostalgia for people like me who like the original Broly from Dragon Ball Z, and honestly, in my opinion, since it was fresh, I thought it was going to come in as number 1, but it came in at number 3, and obviously it comes in that high, top 3, just because of all the hype around Broly. The way they changed its character, he's actually more meaningful. He actually seems like a character now, not someone who just screams Kakarot, Kakarot, and powers up and is this behemoth of a Saiyan. So to see it be at number 3, it's reasonable. I would have ranked it, no, not a little bit higher, but at number 3, it does fit. And hopefully, like I stated, if we do get a anime adaptation of it when Super actually comes back, like in June and July, hopefully it's like on par with the movie. Because if it's a downgrade like Resurrection F and Battle of Gods, I'm gonna be super, super disappointed. But that's like not necessarily an arc, but that's your number 3 pick. Now, obviously, when it came to this list, I already knew that the Goku Black and the Tournament of Power were going to do really, really high, and these two actually had numbers behind them. Like, a lot of people voted for these two arcs, and in my opinion, I was like, which one is even going to win first or second place? Because these two were like really, really like beloved arcs. Like, people really liked the Goku Black arc for what it had to bring with Goku being a villain and stuff, and people like the Tournament of Power because of obviously all the action in it. But coming in at number 2, just slightly getting beat, was the Goku Black arc. Now, the reason why I feel like people chose it as number 2 was because of the finale. A lot of people seemed to hate the finale when obviously Trunks got like the Sword of Hope and sliced Zamasu open, and then Zamasu just overrun the actual world, and then it took Xeno to delete everything. Like, a lot of people were not happy at the fact that they actually had to resort to something like that, which in my opinion, I guess you can actually be mad about that. And I wish people weren't mad about that and they just cared about the overall arc in and of itself, because it had a lot of emotion, a lot of intensity towards it. A lot of people didn't know who Goku Black was. Like, that was the main issue within this. Like, people wanted to know who Goku Black was. It was such an interesting arc, and I feel like the reason why it wasn't number 1 was because of that ending. So honestly, it had a beautiful arc, just a bad ending in terms of people's actual perspectives. And if I would have ranked this, I would have put Goku Black as number 1. Like, I really loved that arc for what it was, and to see people kind of downgrade it because of the ending. And a lot of people told me that they didn't vote for the Goku Black arc because of the ending, seeing that it was because of the ending. I don't know how many times I said that word, but to see people say they downgraded it because of that is kind of sad. So obviously Goku Black arc is number 2, and coming in as the most voted favorite arc is the Tournament of Power. Like, I could see why a lot of people like the Tournament of Power, because for me, when I first started watching the Tournament of Power, it brought me back to my Dragon Ball Z days when I was a little kid watching Dragon Ball Z, and it was just action upon action upon action, episode after episode. Like, the Tournament of Power was basically a readaptation of Dragon Ball Z, but in Dragon Ball Super. There was so much action happening within the Tournament of Power that it was insane, and I feel like the only thing that lacked within the Tournament of Power was actual story. Like, I feel like there was hardly any story in terms of the Tournament of Power. It was just, getting the fan service of so many fights. We got to see so much within all of that. We got to see the return of Gohan, going Mystic with Piccolo. We got to see the introduction of Mastered Ultra Instinct as well as Ultra Instinct. We got the introduction of Super Saiyan Blue Evolution. We got to see Kaba go Super Saiyan 2. We got to see how strong, Jiren was, and Jiren's growth throughout the Tournament of Power, going from this solo guy to this guy who, was fighting for people at the end and actually caring for people at the end. Like, I wish they would have had more to do with Jiren. I feel like since a lot of people played Jiren as the main guy to beat, but he didn't necessarily have a good enough story. Like, if they would have added something more with Jiren to actually make a story more plausible and more relatable, I feel like this arc would have been 10 out of 10 perfect. But the fact that the main person, that being Jiren, had like a weird backstory where it was just like the same backstory we see for every single person in anime history, I feel like that kind of downgraded it, which is why if I would have ranked it, I would have put the Goku Black arc as first, because it had a good story and good action and it had that intensity. But when it came to the Tournament of Power, it did have all of that action that I loved of Dragon Ball Z, but it didn't necessarily have the story. And obviously when it came to the Tournament of Power, when we heard that the universes were being erased, we already knew that obviously that Universe 7 was going to win, which is like a weird thing because throughout the entirety of the Tournament of Power, we already knew that they were going to win since like day one. Obviously, we just didn't know how they were actually going to win, which was like, it was a really weird limbo state to be in because people were just theorizing like, oh, how is Universe 7 actually going to win? But in my opinion, the Tournament of Power was a really, really good arc, but I wouldn't necessarily rank it as number one. So let us go through the arcs again. Coming in at dead last for some reason was the Moro arc. Coming in at number 6 was Resurrection F. Number 5, Battle of Gods. Number 4, Universe 6 versus Universe 7. Number 3, the Broly arc. Number 2, Goku Black arc. And obviously coming in at number 1 was the Tournament of Power arc. So that's the fans of my art Instagram are ranking them from worst to best. What have you guys ranked this? Because I know a lot of you guys who are probably watching this video are probably like, no, your fans are wrong. No, this is the actual ranking. So I kind of want to see what you guys have to say about this ranking list. I myself kind of find it kind of odd that the Moro arc did so poorly and that the Tournament of Power was actually number 1. Like, what would you guys rank this? What do you think is the worst arc? What do you think is the best arc? And with that being said, guys, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoy this type of ranking video. Like I stated, if you want to participate in future ranking videos, because I will be doing more quizzes like this on my art Instagram for future videos, make sure to follow me on my art Instagram. It's going to be in the description below if you guys want to check out my art as well as participate. And if you want to, watch more of these videos, please make sure to leave a like so I know you guys do enjoy this type of content, as well as subscribe for future content. And with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace out, guys.